Yo, what up, y'all? Yo, I just got finished eating so bad. But I be craving stuff, so I had a Chick-fil-A kids meal, ice cream, and some donuts. I know I ain't supposed to be eating this stuff, yo. I'm diabetic. I've been diabetic for like 2 years, and this shouldn't be like TC2 Crook. Hell no, that's a motherfucking bit. Okay, all right. So I know I shouldn't be eating like this, but I've been craving a lot of bad food lately, and it's like since my mom, ascended, or since she left, it's like my eating pattern's been getting badder and badder. It's like, I go to the doctor next week to talk about, my issues with my diabetes, and I deal with emotional eating stuff, so it's kind of like, yeah, I've been very emotional eating. So anyway, I want to talk about, and I started to make the video when I was at home earlier, but my camera was tripping. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how people compare me to them and tell me that I make excuses to try to improve my life. Now, I know it's some people out there to where they kind of have a different mind frame when it comes to success. I absolutely understand. And so my friend, I've been known for a while. We met, we just ended up becoming cool or whatever. And so, I was kind of complaining about something, I can't remember, but all I know is that I started talking about something related to, trying to do better in my life. So I brought up an issue, and then it's to where, I'm telling her about it, and I was saying how pretty much, I don't know, like I want to start traveling. And so, she basically technically made it seem like I had more of an opportunity to do what I need to do because of the fact that my whole living situation, my whole life is like technically, I guess, great, which honestly, I don't like to compare my lifestyle to somebody else's, because what I got going on is mental, a lot of mental stuff, and this is not an excuse. And so basically, she's telling me that I'm full of excuses and I'm not taking my life seriously and not making it happen. Because I was telling her about getting this is pretty much the conversation, getting a job. So I'm like, yo, I want to leave America, or I just want to start bopping around the world and start traveling. And so, she was like, well, what's the problem? Like, number one is income, but besides the income, it's to where I can't keep a job. I know this already. I have some issues going on. It's to where I have certain, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm telling her about the stuff I got going on with, my situation related to my health. And it's kind of like she's dismissive about that, and I'm just making excuses to where I can get a job. I agree that I could get a job. I don't keep a job. I don't want to get a job. I have the opportunity to not get a job. I was trying to get a job before because I wanted to make some extra money. The thing is that if I be consistent with, it ain't even YouTube at this point, because I'm not monetized right now. So, my other channel was literally taken from me. And so, I was monetized on my other channel. My YouTube check will be around $300 with my other channel. It was $300 a month, and then I started, getting some good content out there, but I was talking about my life, you know what I'm saying, and on another angle, and I ruffled some feathers, and I had an account takeover. So besides that, she made it seem like I'm not doing nothing. You see what I'm saying? To improve my life. Everybody has different skills, and not everybody wants a job. First of all, she was like, you should get a work from home. No, I don't do work from home jobs because I just don't. I don't like it. I don't like, most of them are customer service. You got to talk to people. I don't listen. Not to say I don't listen well. It's like my head be all over the place. So my attention span is really short. You know what I'm saying? I want to take this hat off, y'all. I love this hat. When I go out, people be like, yo, I like your hat. I don't even like Georgia. No, I'm kidding, but I don't. I just like the style. So anyway, she made it seem like, yo, like, I don't do nothing. Since I met you, you've been going through this cycle to where, you know, everything I got going on technically is an excuse. You know, all of my situations, my health problem, you know, my whole life story, my whole life. Literally, I'm not really achieving anything. And then, you know, I kind of complain about stuff. And so the stuff that I do complain about is to where this stuff prevents me from going to the next level. And it's to where, you know how people say, oh, you got to tell yourself, da, 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 da. I get that. But everybody mindset is a lot different. Like when it comes to certain things, I could have a real positive mindset and I could accomplish some goals. But being that she's going off based off of me hanging around with her every time, you know, I would talk about stuff to where, you know, I would complain a lot. But then again, it's to where I want to do better. And I'm like, yo, I have reasons to complain. A lot of people that complain is either they need help or they're frustrated because they can't really get what they want or get to where they want to be. But at the same time, everybody's circumstance is different. You see what I'm saying? Like, I deal with some stuff with my health, so it's only natural that I would get frustrated with health problems trying to do stuff in life, because it's kind of like a crutch or a holdback. And now everybody's health situation is different. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, you know, basically, I'm full of excuses. I have no reason to go through what I go through technically, and I have a perfect opportunity to do what I want to do. So, you know, people will always bring up, you know, what they got going on compared to me. So then I feel like I'm being compared. And then when people bring people up outside of them and say what they got to say about their life, and, you know, they had all these kids and pretty much they did everything they could do to be successful. This is the type of stuff that hurts my feelings. You know what I'm saying? Everybody gets their feelings hurt a certain way, but it seemed like it's constructive criticism, but then it's not. It's more like hateration. And like a lot of your friends, I mean, you got friends to where, you know, I kind of get some stuff where people get intimidated because of what I know, you know, my intelligence when it comes to certain stuff. You know, I'm very knowledgeable in a lot of fields, but I don't have a job. And people say, well, why don't you have a job? Because you live in Atlanta, and I hate to bring up Atlanta. Like, Atlanta is the excuse for not working. But there's certain jobs that I want to get. You know what I'm saying? I don't really want to get, you know, just a regular job. Like, for example, I don't want to work at Target. I could name all these companies I worked for and got fired from. And so I got fired from a lot of retail jobs. And then when I went to college, it's like, you know, I'm looking for something to where it could satisfy me after I get my degree. And so technically I didn't, you know what I'm saying? I didn't make it through with what I was going to school for. Like, I graduated, got a darn degree and all that. And it was kind of like, you know, it's discouraging. You get a degree, you try to look for work, you know, you got bad interviewing skills. And it's so where you try to get better interviewing skills. And then it's like you still go to job interviews and don't, you know what I'm saying? You don't do well. So, you know, I got into mental health because, you know, I deal with some mental health stuff. So I'm like, cool, let me go into mental health because, you know, working in mental health is kind of like a recovery. And, you know, I was doing mental health programs. I got certified as a mental health specialist, peer support, got my certificate. I had got a mental health first aid certificate. I had got NAMI. Like, it was so many certificates that I got through this program out here in Georgia. So, you know, went through the program, graduated, got certified in mental health, went to a gang of interviews, and then it's like the same thing. it's either I don't do well in interviews, I just had got out the program, so it wasn't like I did work. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had work in the industry, but it came to the point where I'm like, you know what? You know, you can't find a job after a while. It's like you just give up. And being that a lot of people say, you know, getting a degree is pointless, I absolutely agree. all it does is put you in debt. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I started making different moves outside of my degree, the mental health stuff. I had got a certificate in business, and I started excelling with entrepreneurship. I really did. Like, I would never think that I would get as far as I got with business. So, you know, I started my own stuff quite a few times, different businesses. But my very last business was kind of something out of my beyond my control when it comes to certain stuff with that company. So I am what you call a ideal creator. I create ideas. I'm a creator. You know, I make like guides. Now I make jewelry. I build websites and all this stuff. But being that working for a company doing the same stuff, it's like, you know, they put you through hoops to actually, you know, get jobs. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I got a company. I could give somebody a hard time to get a job. If I feel like they don't qualify, I wouldn't hire them. So I get it. But at the end of the day, if your passion is really not to get a job, and you have the perfect opportunity to not get one or not even work, like, why not go for it? You know what I'm saying? And so being that I've had so many failures with my life, like, it's kind of like to where I feel frustrated and I complain. So it's more than, you know, interviewing. It's like my mom passed, you know, you start to feel a certain way about life and, you know, missing your mom. Like, I'm sitting here grieving, like, to where I don't cry about it at times, but it's to where I get very emotional about what happened to her. I always see it in my head about like what happened to her. You know, I always think about how I could have helped her. And it's kind of like, I start getting like, you know, mixed feelings about everything. And being that, you know, my mom was helping me out with a lot of stuff. She was like, oh, you know, you're being coddled, or it's where you want somebody to take care of you. And you're like, she's really direct when it comes to certain stuff. So, you know, I got mad or whatever, and it was so where she had to get off the phone. So she got off the phone, and I'm thinking to myself, like, damn, it made me question myself, because I've heard the same conversation before regarding being successful or why you can't get a job. You got all this experience, da 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 da. And so I get tired of explaining stuff to people, which I don't have to, you know. And like when I first started doing certain stuff, it was new to me. Like I was on Fiverr. I'm still on there. You know, I was doing like, not really websites, but something like stuff related to digital marketing. So, you know, as time go by, you know, you have people from other countries on there actually making more money. So, you know, these people were making more money than me on these websites. So, being that happened, I'm like, okay, well, what's the point of being on this freelancer website where I'm not getting any business? So I'm over here trying to like really analyze my issues, and it's to where I start questioning myself. Then it's to where I start talking to my friends about certain stuff, or my friends, and it's like I have excuses. You know, I have the opportunity. It's like they literally hate on me, and they're, you know what I'm saying, they're freaking jealous of me. I feel like a lot of people that I come into hand with, when I kind of like tell them about what I do, you know, they kind of get like, really, it's kind of like, you know, they're not really excited, like they're not rooting for you. And I know, you know, I feel like it's normal to be a hater with certain stuff, but at the same time, when it's your friends, and you would think like they will root for you, but sometimes they don't really root for you, you know what I'm saying? Because like, you know, you go on Instagram, they follow you, they won't even like you, you know what I'm saying? Like a tap a L, you know, a heart. Then when you look in your stories, they look in there. So it's kind of like, okay, why the hell are you looking at my stories when you're not rooting for me for real? So that kind of made me think, like, is this person really, you know, my friend or genuine and stuff? And so it's to where I do stuff, I get shortchanged, I get desperate for money. So it's kind of like I'll just do stuff that I'm good at, and then it's like I just need the money to pay my bills, so then I'll do it. And it's like the clients that I would meet, it's like we don't match up together. I had got a bad review on Google. You know what I'm saying? It just gets to the point where, me doing everything by myself that I be doing, it's like, it's draining, it's mind-boggling. I feel like I need like a partner with certain stuff. I've tried to build teams, with what I got going on. And it's to where being a Black-owned business with certain type of like businesses, it's like you're in it for yourself and you have to help yourself only. But the fact of the matter is that, people will say what they want to say about you and your lifestyle and what you do and make it seem like, you should have it made. Now with that, I feel like I should have it all together, but I have a lot of challenges that the average person that don't have. And so, she was real direct with what she had to say. And it's kind of like, really? You know what I'm saying? Like, really, really? And I feel like I shouldn't communicate with her anymore. But then again, I get it. People say stuff, they mean it, and then it's to where they'll put you down or have you start questioning yourself. And you're like, well, what's wrong with me? You know what I'm saying? You start, like, for real, like for me, I've had people tell me about myself, and it's to where I start questioning, like, am I really this way? So it kind of gets to that point where you kind of get mad, my feelings hurt, because I have other friends that has done the same thing. And when I talk about my mental health, it's like, oh, it's just an excuse. They know people that got that going on, and they're this far in life, and it's really hurtful to me. But anyway, I just want to bring this up because this is actually bothering me. And I told myself on this channel I won't get too in depth about things in my life like I did on my other channel, but being that this is supposed to be a therapeutic channel now, that I have a new channel. So I kind of feel like if I'm going to talk about certain stuff, the solution has to be in the video. Solutions have to be in this content, because I don't want to bicker, complain about stuff I got going on as to where there's nothing that is done about it. I'm not even taking action. And that's the thing. She doesn't know me that well. I've done so much in my life to do stuff to be successful for myself. So at the same time, people will think, well, you do this, do that, you start, stop. But at the end of the day, I'm literally trying to find myself at 44 years old. And sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes you do stuff, it don't work out. You get upset, you quit, and it's just a cycle of what some people go through. And so, sometimes you might need an additional push. You might need coaching. You might need a therapist. You might need a resource to help you. And then it's to where I feel like I need help. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, damn if I do, damn if I don't. If this is said, then it's still negative. Like, this is the type of stuff that I go through, and it's like, yo, why should I talk to people? It gets to the point where my whole circle of so-called friends is negative. You know what I'm saying? It's not to where I get credit for even trying to get credit. And that's pretty much what I got going on right now. So if you kind of feel like you got something going on like that, I feel like the best way to deal with it is to take a break from talking to that individual, especially if it hurts your damn feelings. If it hurts your feelings and you kind of see, yourself being hurt by it, and then you're getting like really emotional by criticism that's constructive, but it's not really constructive, because at the same time, a person that has constructive criticism won't be angry at you and starting to get frustrated and start yelling at you. That's how I feel. And it's kind of like, well, damn, you yelling at me, getting frustrated, and you're supposed to be constructively criticizing me about some of the stuff, because that's what friends do. Or that's where, I used to be in class in college, and we would get feedback on our work and stuff, and it would be hard to accept what the teacher would say about our work, and it make you question to where, well, maybe my work is not good quality, but the teacher is just trying to help you improve your craft, or just their solution or their feedback on what could be done. But they're not talking about what they did. You see what I'm saying? They're listening to you, and it's to where the teacher would talk about you, but it's not to way you would get your feelings hurt, where you feel like you don't never want to be in this class again and all that. And see, I feel like that's more the healthy way of feedback to a person. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of times when people give feedback in a professional session, in a professional setting, it's not to where they're talking bad about you. You know, well, to where you're getting offended. And even if they do talk about, you know, what they've been through, it's not to where they're being negative talking to you. You see what I'm saying? So anyway, y'all, I'm about to get off this camera. I'm gonna make some more content about this jewelry stuff. I'm like tired, man. I'm tired. So I'm gonna get off this camera, y'all. But I mean, think about what I'm saying, because I know a gang of people that go through this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And they go through it, and it's kind of like, you know, when you're dealing with a real sensitive person like myself, it would make me not want to talk to you. Then it feel like to where if it happens again, I'm being taken advantage of emotionally because they know my cycle. You see what I'm saying? So every time you get to know somebody and it's to where you got a pattern of messing up, or you don't accomplish or achieve something, then it's to where you're brought up like you're just a person that's not consistent. You're not going to succeed. You know, you have a pattern of doing this. And then it becomes a problem. It's like, yo, I don't even fuck with you no more. So that's pretty much where I'm at, yo. But let me go inside here. But I want to take the time. I want to thank y'all for listening to me. I don't care if I get 7 views, because like my views been real low. It's kind of like you got people that's watching me, but it's like 2 and 3 views. But it's okay though. Eventually, you know, my channel will build up. But y'all, let me go. But you know, I'm just venting right now, just venting about what I got going on. And it's not an excuse. Some people always think it's an excuse. You just got to do what you got to do. I get that part. But then it's so where some things you don't want to do what you don't want to do. So it's like, when you don't do what you don't want to do and you're not happy doing something, then it's to where you're talking to your friend about, you know, not doing stuff and this, that, and the third. They want to bring up what they do and what you're doing is bad, and then they want to make you feel bad. So it kind of make you think like, is this person envious of me? Is this person jealous of me? Then it's to where I got some stuff going on. I have the opportunity. I've had chances. I've had somebody to help me. I've had somebody to be there for me. You see what I'm saying? So this is the type of stuff that's also brought up in this whole conversation. It's to where I get help. I get support. You know, I should be further on in life. But anyway, y'all, let me get off this camera and talk to y'all later.